The 612th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their Pick 8. Sign up today with promo code MMA SGPN and claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMA SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm is loaded up with a ton of picks for the British Open. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Hi ho, Degenerinos. Welcome to episode 613 of the MMA Gambling Podcast and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. On this Korean heavy fight card, I think we should dedicate it to a superfan Jeong. I know he gets a whole segment every main card episode, but he's such an enthusiastic fan. He deserves an episode. So this goes out to Jeong and goes out to everyone who's listening. Thank you for coming to the podcast. We got UFC's back at the UFC Apex. Oh boy, that's what we want. And it's got a thrilling co-main event, which means it must be a stellar fight card we have going on here. No co-main event talk today. Today is all about the prelims. One of your hosts, what name do we go by? Oh yeah, the King of Kung Fu, Jeff Fox. UFC Vegas 96, aka UFC Fight Night Lemos versus Jandy Doba is going down this Saturday, and we've got all your picks starting with the prelims today. Maybe before we dive in all that, we'll quickly recap how things went last weekend because we haven't done a UFC episode since then. Gumby beat me by $5, so that's why I'm no longer the Almighty Supreme leader. We both went 7-3, but Gumby won $321. I won $316. So it was a good night for all of us. I did hit all my lock, my dog, and my prop pick, which is a rare thing to happen. Gumby hit 2 out of 3 of his picks. So yeah, UFC, what was that? Denver turned out pretty good for us. So let's bring in one of those people that it went pretty good for, the one and only Daniel Gumby Vreeland. Hello.
Well, first, before I tell you about how good it went for me, I will just casually remind you that if it went good for you and you enjoy listening to these breakdowns, go ahead and hit the subscribe button below, because when I mention it at the top of the show, it goes very well for our subscriber number.
When I mention it. We got stuck. We were stuck at 710, now we're up to 711. So yeah, but we had a nice bump there, and no, let's keep it going. Okay.
Yeah, get us up to 750 by the end of UFC Vegas 94. So thank you for all of those of you who did subscribe though, and if you haven't, turn notifications off, hit subscribe. It won't change your life at all. And then as for the results, yeah, not only did we have good picks, having a 7-3 night's always a pretty good night anyway. But then, on top of that, we hit the Jeong Silva underdog play. And my God, did Jeong Silva look good, man.
Yeah,
I had to stare at the featherweight rankings and convince myself not to rank that guy this week. Because I know it was a lightweight fight, but I'm just like,
yeah.
But if he can beat Drew Dober, what's he gonna do to some of these featherweights? And ultimately, I just couldn't talk myself off of some of those. I mean, featherweight's a loaded division, so it was hard to talk myself into not ranking somebody at the edge of it. But he's ready for a top 15.
Is he going to be a featherweight though? Like, he didn't make weight his last fight, and now he fought at lightweight successfully. Like,
I mean, I guess I don't. Maybe he should stay. I mean, if he can do that to Drew Dober, man, Drew Dober didn't look like he belonged in the cage with him at all. When was the last time you said that about Drew Dober? I mean, outside of the Matt Frivola just getting knocked out in 13 seconds or whatever that was, he's looked game in every single fight he's been in, except for that one maybe. And I guess he was game, he hung around, but he was getting battered and he was missing a lot. And yeah, Jeong Silva, the real deal. But yeah, we hit the Jeong Silva underdog. You got the King of Kung Fu gifted decision there.
It was a close fight. It was
a close fight because they're both terrible. And then, a lot of people poo-pooed my Juliana Rosa pick, but come on, Juliana Rosa, as I've said time and time again, tougher than people give him credit for. So and then the real decider between us was the one that got canceled. So that probably would have really drawn a line in the sand, but it got canceled. So altogether a pretty darn good fight card, and pretty much we didn't talk about Tracy Cortez getting a fake eyelash punched off.
Yep.
Which is an all-time highlight. But yeah, good event. for the picks. Good event to watch, surprisingly, based on what the card was. And hopefully we get a similar surprise at UFC Vegas 94.
Yep, the ladies are getting to headline again, so nothing wrong with that. So hopefully they bring it once more. One place that always brings it is the Sports Gambling Podcast, the main podcast, the mothership, so to speak. And they're getting you ready for college football with their conference previews. Tune in wherever you get your podcasts or on the SGPN app, and of course on YouTube. After you've smashed your subscribe button for us, smash it for them as well. All right, we got another fight night card. how's that for a sale?
I mean, to be fair, UFC London next week is bonkers. You know, UFC 304 is so good. 2 title fights. You know, Paddy Pimblett versus King Green. Lots to like next week. So if you don't absolutely love this week, and actually I don't even love it making picks if I'm being honest. It's kind of a rough one for that. I'd say still just like pump the brakes and just enjoy.
Oh, I'm the total opposite for this week. A lot of fun, a lot of lines that surprised me and that I was happy to get in on. So maybe we're gonna have a lot of different picks.
I don't like any of these. There's like one fight where I was like, yup, that guy. And then outside of that, I felt like I could have picked either side in just about every fight.
Interesting. All right. We of course are talking about UFC Fight Night. Lemos versus Jandy Doba is going down Saturday. 5 p.m. Eastern is the start time for the prelims, and that's what we're covering today. Prelims are on ESPN2. It's in the UFC Apex. Goody. 12 fights. We've got, I think it's 6 and 6, right? I think that's the way we're breaking it down in the way the UFC broke it down. So that's, 6 and 6 today. To be fair, that this would have been a stronger fight card. They had some top of the lineup fights fall through. It was what Tracy Cortez was supposed to fight Miranda Maverick. Dan Ige was supposed to fight Joe Anderson Brito and Chepe Mariscal. It was going to be a handicap match 1-on-2, but no.
Well, Chepe's still fighting too. He's fighting Damon Jackson next week.
Yeah. So anyhow, it would have been a strong. Well, when that's like 2 top of the fight card level fights there. So anyhow, we are starting with heavyweights, chunky boys. Oh boy, Mohammed Usman from Nigeria versus Thomas Petersen from the United States of America. 3 5-minute rounds if they need it. And we're going to tell you about Petersen first. The Train, Steven Petersen, 8-2, 7 knockouts, 1 submission, and he's been knocked out once, so he pretty much owes his rounds. Damn it. 0-1 in the UFC, 3-1 over his last 4. Did lose his last fight. 1-0 Contender Series, was the LFA champion. Based on the last weigh-ins, 25 pounds heavier than Usman, 6 years younger, better striking stats, more active landing strikes, and better grappling stats than Usman. Somehow he's at plus 0.0 in strike differential. He's been hit exactly the same number of times as he's hit his opponents in the UFC and Contender Series. And he's at plus 115. The Motor, Mohammed Usman, the greatest nickname of all time, because it does not fit whatsoever, other than the Mo part in their names. He is 10-3, 4 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's been submitted once, 3-1 in the UFC. He's gone 3-1 over his last 4. He did lose his last fight, though. He went 2-0 in the Ultimate Fighter and was the champion of his season. 0-1 in PFL, an inch height, 5 inches reach over Petersen. He's been outstruck in the UFC by 1.03 strikes per minute, minus 135. This is the guy that we can never get our picks right on, right? I think we finally picked him last fight and he lost. Yeah. Oh, that's true. Neither of them. Yeah. All right. So who are we going to lose on this week, Gumby?
I think I'm going to take Thomas Petersen.
I am too.
And it's not even a strict fade of Mohammed Usman.
No.
You know, like yours might be. I know you don't like Mohammed Usman. Mine's not even a strict fade of him. Like, I think his debut in the UFC was one of the worst things I've seen in a minute. He felt absolutely uncompelled to try to outstrike Jamal Pogues, which should not instill confidence in anybody. That he wasn't willing to get in. Because, like, Pogues, at light heavyweight, Pogues had knockout power. At heavyweight, doesn't seem to. And, like, he was still not willing to mix it up with Jamal Pogues. And that should be, like, alarm bell, alarm bell, alarm bell, alarm bell. But if you watch his regional career, and even his Contender Series fight for that matter, because he beat Chandler Cole there, and that's no slouch either. That's a tough veteran and a guy who's got a pretty good wrestling background and whatnot. Thomas Petersen's wrestling is really good. And if he gets to that wrestling early and puts Usman on his back, I could see Usman having a really tough time getting up. And then in addition to that, I could see Usman tiring. I could see him just like getting on his back in the second or third round and just not having any ambition to get back to the feet. And if that's the case, Petersen could get a late TKO. I know he got a sub in the Chandler Cole fight, but that was more like he was chasing the arm. Chandler Cole didn't quite know how to defend it. His sub skills really aren't there, but I could see him just like punching Usman with some of the slowest punches you've seen in the third round. Usman doing nothing to defend and the referee having to stop it, right? Because it's just like the volume wise, it's got to be a TKO. So like, I mean, I think Petersen's got that path to victory, and like in general, just like positionally, I think he should win this fight. Do you think Usman's got the knockout power to beat him? Maybe, but I don't know if it's enough for me to get behind Usman. So with dog money, I think you got to go Petersen here.
Yeah. Yeah, Petersen for sure. Grappling definitely is in his advantage. Much younger, much heavier. I don't know if that's better. It's not like it's good weight.
It's not
not good weight, but
I mean, he's got a little bit of a midsection, but he's a pretty just like generally big guy too. What do you think his KO up prop is, by the way? I looked it up.
Well, he knocks people out, and you can like see a TKO brackets exhaustion. You can see that happening. He's it shouldn't be high, but I'm guessing he's a dog. We'll say plus 300,
plus 600.
Oh my gosh,
we're only halfway there. So like,
are you hinting?
And it's not going to be my prop of the week, but I just feel like we have to mention it here, right? Like, if you're looking for, maybe you got a free bet from somewhere that it's just burning a hole in your pocket. You could do a lot worse than Thomas Petersen plus 600 on the KO prop.
It is penciled in. If you can pencil things in Excel, I've penciled it in as my prop for tomorrow. We'll see. So something else might grab me before we get to it. But
Crunch is going to be disappointed in you. He likes the sloppy fatty overs.
Yes, it's true. This this isn't going to be fun. This fight's not going to be fun, right? This is not going to be good. Oh, it might be meme worthy. It might be LOL fun.
You could definitely see somebody throwing like a windmill punch and looking dumb, and then us clipping that.
Yeah, we've definitely probably spent too much time on it, right? To kick things off. How many people have stopped watching and or listening after hearing that's what we're kicking off with? It's not our fault, all right? We don't set these cards up. All right, we're going to a female fight next. I don't know if this one will be much better. I guess everything will be much better, but not exactly a barn burner either. This is women's flyweight fight. Why they're fighting at flyweight when both of them either have trouble making weight or used to fight at bantamweight, I'm not sure. But this is a flyweight fight. Luana, Carolina from Brazil. Lucie Pudilová from Czech Republic, I think. Yeah, I just checked. Yes, I just checked. And it's Czech Republic. Let's tell you about. You like that one? Dad joke. Dad jokes are in full effect. Even on vacation, I got the dad jokes. Pudilová is Bullet. That's not an original nickname. It's taken by someone already at flyweight. But anyhow, she's 14-9, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions. She's been submitted once, 3-7 in the UFC over 2 stints. Yet she's still employed. Lost 2 straight fights. Before that, she won 3 straight. Used to fight at bantamweight, regional champion, 2014 pro MMA debut. 2 inches height over Carolina, a year younger. Been outstruck in the UFC by 0.15 strikes per minute, plus 100. Dread, Carolina, 10-4, 3 knockouts, 1 submission. Knocked out once, submitted once. 5-3 in the UFC. She won 2 straight. Before that, she lost 2 straight. Before that, she won 2 straight. We have a pattern. One her last one via TKO. Missed weight twice at flyweight. Didn't, including last fight, but she still ended up winning. So she beat the odds that say if you miss weight, you tend to lose your fight. She won it. Won no contender series. Used to fight down at strawweight, which is crazy to think because she can't even make flyweight anymore. And up at bantamweight, 2 inches of reach over Pudilová. Better striking stats, more active landing strikes. She's outstruck her opponents by 1 strike per minute exactly in the UFC and the contender series, and which is a pretty good number actually. And she's at minus 110. Yeah, this fight's actually not going to be any better, is it? This isn't that great either.
It'll be more exciting. I think both of these two are good strikers.
Yeah, I'll take Carolina. I like her striking a bit better, her power a bit better. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this fight. She's on a decent roll. She's fought better opponents. She's had more success in the UFC. I guess I have a few more things I can say about it, but yeah, I like what I've seen more of her over their most recent fights. So give me her at a good line here, minus 110.
Yeah, and I think the thing I'm gonna go with you here. I like Carolina. I think the problem for me in Pudilová is just that, like, if you ask me what she does best, I think my answer has got to be her work in the clinch.
I thought you were going to say lose. She's really good at losing in the UFC.
Doing that a lot. I think she's good in the clinch. She's always been entertaining in the clinch, and she likes to, you know, make things dirty there. But like Luana Carolina's better there, right? At least I think so. And then in terms of like grappling, yeah, Carolina's had like a couple of slip ups in terms of her grappling, like, you know, when she weirdly got submitted by Ariane Lipski with a knee bar. Like that was a nightmare, but like she was trying to like stupidly take her back in a fight where she should have never been on the ground. Yeah. And like I could see Pudilová trying to take her down, but the thing is, Luana Carolina is very physically strong for this weight class and probably too big for it. I kind of think she's gonna stuff what Pudilová brings. I mean, we saw her. Granted, it was Lucie, right, who came up a weight class to fight her.
Yeah.
And like, granted, that was up a weight class, but like, Lucie's a great wrestler and like didn't have a damn answer for Luana Carolina to stuff those takedowns. So even Pudilová coming down a weight class, I don't know is necessarily more of a threat. So yeah, give me Luana Carolina here too. I agree with you on it.
All right. That's good. Good to hear. Team ride so far. All right. Before we move on, another thing we all agree on is how great Underdog Fantasy is. And Underdog Fantasy just launched their college football best ball product. First place wins $20,000. Plus the higher, lower pick 'em. Pick 8 allows you an opportunity to win 325 times your entry. They're giving money away all over the place. You can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. Do you have any plays, Gumby?
Sure. If you get this before the Knicks Kings Summer League game, go ahead and tab Drew Timmy's higher than on his rebounds. The Knicks throw up a whole bunch of shots in the Summer League so far, and Timmy has been a little bit of a revelation for the Kings here. So, yeah, give me Drew Timmy's higher than on his rebounds.
Go Zags, right?
That's right. Go Zags, baby.
All right. Don't miss your chance to try it out before it's gone. Drew Timmy and because he probably won't make the NBA. Maybe he will. And
they need a backup center.
Yeah. So sign up with our code MMA SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com promo code MMA SGPN. Does he still wear his throwback headband?
Of course.
Okay. Fantastic.
It's just purple now, that's all.
Oh, okay, cool. You got to color coordinate. It's very important with accessories. Circus Sports is back with Circus Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. And of course, Circa contests have no rake. Circa Millions, you pick 5 NFL teams against the spread each week and compete for $6 million or survive the NFL gauntlet to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circus Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with promo code SGP. Don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football? Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go hang out with our bosses, Ryan and Sean, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through the 24th. How about you and I team up and we'll win both of those contests, the $6 million and the $10 million, and then we'll split. We'll win $8 million.
Do you think people would be bummed out that the show ended after that?
Yeah. No, I'll still record. I'll definitely still record. I do this for love, dude. I don't do this for money. Come on. All right. You're the only person I get to talk to in my life that pretends
I won
to be
that much
friends.
money. I might never talk to anybody again.
That's true. True. No Wi-Fi bars on his private island. It's true.
Nope.
All right. This fight will be better than the other two we talked about, right? Things are gradually getting a little better as we move up the card, which is, I guess, the way it should be booked. This is a lightweight fight in the men's side. We got Loik Radzhabov from Tajikistan. His nickname gives that away too. 1 second on that. He is fighting. Who's he fighting again? An American, Trey Ogden. Yes, Trey.
Go Samurai.
Ogden. I'm gonna tell you about him. Samurai Ghost or Ghost Samurai. This one is pretty much a pick 'em as well. So I don't know why you don't like the odds here. Maybe you just don't like the fighters. That could be it, right?
There's some fights where I was like, I guess there's some that I wound up coming around to the odds, but just like on the surface, I could see my picks going real badly.
You could. Fantastic. That's the attitude. All right. Samurai Ghost is 17-6 with 1 no contest, 11 submissions. So we know what he's looking for. Jumping to guillotines, knee bars, all the stuff that works in modern MMA. He's been submitted 3 times, 2-2 with 1 no contest in the UFC, 1-1 with 1 no contest over his last 3, but he did win his last fight, was a regional champion, used to fight up at welterweight, 1-0 in Bellator. Bellator never die. No, Bellator's still alive. I forgot. Wink, wink. 3 inches reach over Radzhabov. Better striking, more active landing strikes. He's been outstruck, though, in the UFC by 0.21 strikes per minute. He's at minus 102. Interesting line. The Tajik tank would be Radzhabov, 18-5-1, 8 knockouts, 5 submissions. He's been knocked out once. 2-1 in the UFC, 3-1 over his last 4. Won his last fight via TKO. Has missed weight before. He went 4-4-1 in PFL. How's this for bad luck? The finalist in 2019 and 2021. So close to the $1 million. Didn't get it either way. I guess he wouldn't be in the UFC if he won the $1 million, probably. He's got multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Get sticky with it. Used to fight at welterweight, just like Ogden. 2012 pro MMA debut. He's been outstruck in the UFC by 1.8 strikes per minute, minus 105. What you got in this one?
I'm going Trey Ogden. I'll take the dog in this one. I think for me, I just look back to that fight like Radzhabov was having with Abdul Karim El-Sawadi in his last fight. And like, it was 1-1 going into the last round, and seemingly everything was leaning Sawadi's way. It looked like Radzhabov was slowing down. Sawadi would only need the takedown to end it, and he got caught getting in for the takedown, and Radzhabov wound up winning that. But like, it winds up looking like a good win on Radzhabov's record, and ultimately, I don't think he looked all that great in that fight. I also like kind of question whether or not he can wrestle for any sustained amount of time. And when Trey Ogden opened his own gym, when he took over Marathon MMA, which is basically Glory MMA, just minus the James Krause of it all, I like sort of doubted, like, is this good for his career? Is he going to be a guy who can coach and fight at the same time? I think I picked against him in his first 2 fights since opening Marathon MMA, and he looks infinitely better. Like, it seems to have rounded out his game that he's thinking about fighting from a coaching perspective. And I mean, like, the no, granted, it's 1-0-1 with, right? It's a no contest, but like, he was winning that fight before. Was it one of those ones with the early stoppage and then the ref? Yeah. And then the ref like should have just let it go for another 6 seconds and he'd had the finish. But like, so since he's started head coaching, like, his wrestling game's good, his top control's good. And those seem to be the things that were giving Radzhabov issues with Sawadi. And I think here, Trey Ogden can kind of mimic some of that. I think his hands have even looked a little bit better as of late. And again, I don't know if it's the cardio that I trust less of Radzhabov or the wrestling defense or his ability to keep both of those up, but I think Ogden can exploit it.
This is where we're going to differ, but it's not like I have a strong feeling either way in this fight, and it's pretty much a pick-up fight anyhow. I'm taking Radzhabov. Like his power more on the feet. I like his experience better. He's fought at a high level for a long time. And he needs a solid grappler, which is basically what Ogden needs to rely on to win fights. So, but like I said, this is pretty much a toss-up. So it could go either way. And whoever hits it are going to get some good money on it, which is a positive. All right, let's move to women's flyweight. Miranda Maverick versus Dione Barbosa. US versus Brazil. I will tell you about Barbosa first. The Witch, Dione Barbosa, is 7-2 with 3 submissions. She's been knocked out 1 time. This is a short notice fight for her. As I mentioned off the top, Maverick was actually going to get a pretty big step up against Tracy Cortez instead. Barbosa, 1-0 in the UFC, won 4 straight fights, has not lost since November 2021. 1-0 contender series, used to fight at bantamweight, 3 inches height, 1 inch of reach over Maverick. Has been outstruck in the UFC and contender series by 0.66 strikes per minute, plus 180. Miranda Fear, the Maverick, is 13-5, 1 knockout, 7 submissions, never been finished in a fight. 6-3 in the UFC. She's won 2 straight and 4-5. 6-2 in Invicta. Used to fight at strawweight. Was a silver medalist in grappling recently in the World Championship. No gi grappling, I believe. 5 years younger than Barbosa. More active landing strikes, better grappling stats than Barbosa. Has outstruck her opponents by 1.2 strikes per minute. Minus 205. You got to go with Maverick. Kind of looked like things were going to work out for her, but she's really turned around as of late. She's one of those people that were getting a lot of bad luck losses, fights that she could have won, but was lost them on the judges' scorecard. Obviously, short notice is going to be an issue, especially someone with a motor like Maverick who grinds out wins. So I like her grinding out a win here over Barbosa, even though Barbosa will be slightly bigger, especially considering she's fought up a weight class. But I think Maverick can handle it with her strength.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. I hate the short notice for Barbosa. I think Maverick, Barbosa being somebody who kind of relies on her submission skills, as you mentioned, she's got a bunch of submissions. She's probably still going to be the better striker than Maverick, but I don't imagine she's going to be able to defend those takedowns for enough time. And to your point about Maverick too, I think you're right. I think we all had her pegged as like a super prospect, and I don't know necessarily that I'm off that, right? Like she's still super young,
Mm-hmm.
and when you go back and you look at those losses, what, Erin Blanchfield and Jasmine Jasudavicius, like, man, those losses aged exceptionally well, right? So, like, at the end of the day, I think she's still got a lot of potential. I do worry about her frame at this weight class, right? She's 5'6" or something like that, or
5'3", 5'3",
even shorter. 5'3" at 125, but she's got every bit of the like bulk to deal with it. Like, it's not like she's just like out of shape. Like, she is in some of the best shape of anybody in this division. And I think, yeah, to your point, the motor, the takedowns, the short notice for Barbosa, all those things point in Maverick's favor. So give me Miranda Maverick.
Yay, Miranda Maverick. Back on the same pick here. All right, before we move on, another thing we all agree on. I already did that transition, but anyhow, Rhythm. The British Open is this week. If you're not checking out the AI picks and props from Rhythm, you're missing out. Don't have FOMO. Not just outright winners. They got picks for top 5, top 10, and top 20. Use their AI Caddy to get some great data insights. You can even customize your own golf betting model using Rhythm's tools. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, let's keep this train a-rolling, Gumby. We're going up a weight class, switching genders. It's men's bantamweight, Brian Kelleher, Cody Gibson. It's a U.S. versus U.S. action here. We have got Kelleher as a dog. Boom. Kelleher is 24-15, 8 knockouts, 10 submissions. He's been knocked out twice, submitted 8 times, 8-8 in the UFC. He's lost 3 straight, and he's gone 2-4 over his last 6. All 3 of his past 3 losses have come via finish. He's not won since January 2022. He's fed at featherweight. Multi-regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Get sticky with it. 0-2 in Bellator. 2011 Pro MMA debut. Better grappling stats than Gibson. He's been outstruck in the UFC by 1.25 strikes per minute, plus 165. The Renegade. Cody Gibson is 19-10. 7 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's been submitted 4 times. 1-5 in the UFC over 2 stints. He's lost 2 straight and only won 1 of his last 4. He went 2-0 in the Ultimate Fighter, made it to the finals, losing to a guy we're going to talk about on tomorrow's show. He as well has multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. Get sticky with it. When it rains, it pours. Everyone's got stacked mantles on this episode. All right. Gibson fought down at flyweight, up at featherweight, 2008 Pro MMA debut. 4 inches height, 5 inches of reach over Kelleher. So quite a significant size advantage, especially at a low weight class. A year younger, better striking sets, more active landing strikes. He's barely been outstruck in the UFC. It's minus 0.08. On the board, he is minus 195.
So first of all, we're not talking about the guy who beat him on the Ultimate Fighter.
I'm getting my seasons mixed up.
Nope, same season, different weight class.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Kurt
he's much smaller than Kurt.
Kurt Hallbaugh beat Austin Hubbard. He lost to Brad Katona. I like Cody Gibson quite a bit in this fight. I know, he lost that fight to Brad Katona. It was pretty damn close. Like, I was kind of hoping the judges gave it to him anyway. I think my documented dislike for Brad Katona is pretty heavy on this show. But like, it was one of those where you're like, this is close enough that it's possible that they get it wrong and give it to Gibson. His reach is really big for the bantamweight division, and the way he uses it is possibly even better. If you want to look to that fight with Miles Johns, Miles Johns is a guy, really good wrestling time and time again. He stuffed 6 out of the 8 takedowns from Miles Johns, so his wrestling defense holds up. And Brian Kelleher, man, I know I've been a fan of him for a while. He's really exciting to watch. It just kind of seems like the end here, right? Like, he's been finished. What'd you say? 3 straight fights. Yeah. Looks like his chin's not there. I know he had, neck surgery at some point in time. You have neck surgery and lose 3 straight by finish. It doesn't look all that good. And I know he's getting another shot because he's a fan favorite, but man, I don't know if Gibson's the right kind of guy to go up against here. He's got a lot of good power. He uses his range really well, and he stuffs takedowns. So, yeah, give me Cody Gibson here. I think he's probably going to be the 4th straight finish here for Kelleher.
Yeah, he's my pick as well, Cody Gibson. But if this is the end for Kelleher, very, very solid career.
Yeah, fun as hell.
Took him a long time to make the UFC, and then he's stuck around for. We were writing him off already. He stuck around for 7 years. So, was he the one that went on Ariel's show before he made it to the UFC? Like hoping to talk about how much he hoped to make the UFC, and then he did. I think he may be the guy.
I don't know that. I don't watch Ariel Helwani, to be fair.
Well, I haven't for a long time either. We're talking 7 years ago, but
okay.
yes, Gibson is the pick here. So, and let's go to our main event. A couple of not as familiar names as the two men we just talked about. This is a men's featherweight fight. Hyder Amil, USA. Jeong Lee from South Korea. I know I should have dedicated tomorrow's episode to Jeong, but that's okay. Most of the Koreans are on tomorrow's. Why is this such a Korean heavy card? Are they all from the same fight camp, I assume?
No, I don't think so.
No? That's
like, I
strange.
think some
though,
are
right?
Korean top team, and then there's zombie fight team, and then I don't even know if any of them are from the same, if I'm not mistaken.
That's so strange. It's not like this was supposed to be in Seoul,
UFC
South Korea at some point.
I don't think
either,
so,
right?
if I'm not mistaken.
No, it's always supposed to say. Yeah, anyhow. Not complaining, just wondering. All right. I already told you about the fighters. Let's tell you their breakdowns now. Amil is the Hurricane, 9-0, 5 knockouts, 1 submission. He's 1-0 in the UFC, won his last fight via TKO, 1-0 in Contender Series, 3-0 in Bellator, better striking stats, more active landing strikes than Lee, and he's outstruck his opponents in the UFC and Contender Series by 2.57 strikes per minute, plus 163. The Korean Tiger, Lee, 11-1, 4 knockouts, 3 submissions, never been finished in a fight. 2-0 in the UFC. He's won 8 straight fights. He's not lost since June 2017. 2-0 on road to UFC and was the champion of his season. Was regional champion as well. 2014 pro MMA debut. An inch of height, 3 inches reach. 5 years younger than Amil. He's outstruck his UFC and road to opponents by 1.24 strikes per minute, minus 180. I'm going to go dog here. I'm going to take Amil. I like his striking better. Like his power better. I don't know. I like his experience better because some of this regional Asian regional scene is still kind of questionable. Some of it more China than South Korea, but I think I like Amil as a dog here. We'll see if Gumby agrees.
I agree with you. I will say I do like Jeong Lee's regional record. He fought a bunch of times in road, and he fought some pretty damn
right. That's right. Okay, I take it back.
It's not like he was fighting in some of those other sort of skeezier promotions that you're not feeling good about. But I think the difference maker for me here is Hyder Amil's gas tank, in just the pace he puts on people, right? Because that's what won him a contract on Contender Series. He fought Enra Samez in that fight. And I remember picking Sanmez because I was like, in watching Hyder Amil on the regional scene, I was like, I don't know that anything's all that special about him. Sanmez wrestles exceptionally well. And he stuffed a couple of Sanmez's takedowns. But the most important thing was he just made Sanmez fight him in a phone booth for as long as he possibly could. And it exhausted Sanmez. And then you could say he did the same thing to Fernie Garcia. And granted, Fernie Garcia, maybe not the best record in the UFC, but the way that he just puts a pace on people and he forces them to get into a dogfight with him, I think that's a nightmare here for Jeong Lee, who got backed up a little bit by Blake Builder, who I think we're a little bit lower on, having watched a couple of times in the UFC now. I think Hyder Amil does that even worse and kind of drags Jeong Lee into fighting kind of an ugly fight. And I don't know that that's the kind of fight that Jeong Lee wins. So, yeah, I like the dog money here on Hyder Amil, too, especially with as high as that number is.
Yeah, I was surprised by the number. So I think we got some decent numbers here, Gumby, today. You may think otherwise, but I think, like you said, you can see things going poorly low. But if things don't go poorly, we're going to win ourselves some good money here. All right, let's recap. We both have Amil. We both have Gibson after I put Gumby's name down here. We both have Maverick. I have Radzhabov. He has Ogden in pretty much a pick'em fight. So that makes sense. Both have Carolina. We both have Petersen. And boom. We're done. Just like that, we finished half of the fight card for you. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If you want more talk MMA, make sure you go to our Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. Twitter, we're at SGPN MMA. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm a Jeff Fox writer there. And on Instagram, What else? Get in my Substack, enter my pick'em contest for this week's UFC. That was moneymma.substack.com. Listen to Gumby's Top Turtle MMA podcast. Who's on this week, Gumby?
We are talking to Steve Garcia, who we'll talk about on tomorrow's show, as well as Austin Bashi, who is going to be fighting on week 4 of Contender Series.
All right, so check that out for sure. Obviously, subscribe to our YouTube if you've not already, please and thank you. And check everything out that's good in the sports gambling world at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. If you want to dress like a cool guy like us, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon to help us keep the lights on. We'll be back tomorrow. It'll be Dread, Jeff Fox. It will be Samurai Ghost, Gumby Breathe, and she'll talk to you then.